My name is Madison Clark, and I'm 29 years old. On paper, my life is the kind that makes bankers lean back in their chairs and relax, and makes landlords offer you the quiet corner unit with a knowing smile. I own a small but nice condo in a good neighborhood. The deed is in my name. The mortgage is in my name. The chipped mugs in my kitchen cabinet sit beside a color-coded budget binder that knows exactly when every bill is due, and how badly my soul will die if my credit score ever drops below 780. I'm the person who compares 6 internet providers over a $10 difference. Then, still waits for a promo code. My job matches that energy. I work as an operations analyst for a logistics company. My days are built around flowcharts, contingency plans, and the question, what could go wrong? And how do we keep it from wrecking everything I get paid to anticipate disaster and make it a non-event? For a long time, I thought my love life matched that same stable, responsible pattern. I'd been with my boyfriend, Ethan Hayes, for 2.5 years. He's 27, charming, funny, just impulsive enough that people call him spontaneous instead of unreliable, at least at first. He's a designer at a marketing agency, the kind of guy who always has ink on his fingers and unfinished concepts open on his laptop. 14 months ago, he moved into my condo. That sentence sounds simple. It isn't. I bought the place 3 years ago. Long before Ethan, I saved for the down payment, ran the numbers until my eyes crossed, and signed papers with my hands shaking from both fear and pride. When Ethan moved in, we agreed he'd contribute $600 a month towards expenses, mortgage, utilities, groceries. It was way less than half. But I made more, and at the time it felt fair. I told myself it was me being generous, mature, supportive. Looking back, that was the first red flag. I turned into a heart-shaped balloon. Things had been off for a while before Cancun. Little things, mostly. Ethan glued to his phone, turning the screen away when I walked into the room. Work drinks that went from once a week to 3 times. Then 4 nights where he came home smelling like tequila and expensive perfume, rambling about networking and new campaigns, and you wouldn't know them. They're from a different agency. When you love someone, you learn how to gaslight yourself before they ever need to try. He'd roll into bed at 1 a.m., kiss the top of my head. Mumble, "You're the best. Mats." And I'd file away the unease next to the utilities folder. Not gone, just deferred. Then, Thursday morning happened. I was at the stove, half awake, scrambling eggs and mentally checking off my day. Status meeting at 9. Vendor call at 11. Reminder to transfer money to savings. Normal. Quiet. Controllable life things. Ethan walked into the kitchen, already dressed, hair styled, overnight bag sitting by the door. I noticed the bag first. The bag. Then, the way he didn't ease into the conversation. No small talk. No good morning. Just, "So, I'm going to Cancun tomorrow with the guys for a week. Kind of a last-minute thing. Don't wait up." He said it like he was telling me he'd picked up milk. My hand froze on the spatula. "Wait, what?" he sighed, already annoyed. "I'm going to Cancun. Tomorrow. With the guys. A week. It's just a trip." "You look like I told you I'm moving to the moon." "Which guys?" I asked. Eyebrows knitting together. From work, he shrugged. Some guys from the gym. Some from the agency. You don't know them. That was convenient. You already booked everything. Yeah. Flights. Hotel. I needed this. Meds. I've been stressed. You know how work's been. I just want some fun in the sun. You're always working anyway. The way he said, I needed this, made something sharp twist in my chest. A week is kind of long, I said slowly. What about work? Already sorted it out. He shot back. Defensive. God. Why are you being so controlling? It's just a trip with the guys. I didn't realize I needed your permission to go on vacation. Controlling. That word sat between us like a grenade. I'm not being controlling, I said, trying to hold my voice steady. I'm just surprised. This is really sudden. Ethan, you didn't mention it at all. You're leaving the country tomorrow. He rolled his eyes. I knew you'd make it a thing. Madison. I work hard. I deserve this. You of all people should understand needing a break. Deserve? Another word I should have paid attention to. I stared at him, waiting for some sign that he understood why this felt like a problem. That we could talk about logistics, money, emergency contacts, basic adult things you discuss with the person whose name is on the mortgage. Instead, he checked his watch. Look, I don't have time for a fight. I need to finish packing. Just be happy for me. Okay. I swallowed everything questions. Fear, irritation, and forced my mouth to move. Okay. Have fun. Be safe. He kissed my cheek, grabbed the bag by the door, and left. No mention of bills while he'd be gone. No contact information. Not even a text me if there's an emergency. The door closed, and the condo felt bigger and emptier at the same time. That evening, I was on the couch, half watching some forgettable show, half scrolling through my phone, when my cousin Diana's name popped up on my screen. She'd sent a screenshot from Instagram. I frowned. Diana follows Ethan. She thinks he's so cute and creative. I opened the image. It was Ethan's story. Ethan at the airport. Arms slung around. 2 people, not 2 guys. 1 guy, and a woman with glossy dark hair. A sun hat tilted at a perfect angle. Her body leaning into Ethan's like they were a matched set. Vanessa, the ex-girlfriend he'd sworn was ancient history, who meant nothing, who he barely thinks about. The one whose name had once flashed on his phone at midnight, and he called it a wrong number. The caption read, Squad Goals, Ken Kun. Here we come. Something in my chest went very cold and very still. I stared at the picture so long my phone screen dimmed. Then the next story auto-played them on the plane. Ethan leaning into Vanessa this time. Both of them smiling wide. Caption vacation mode activated. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't send 10 angry paragraphs about betrayal or lies or how stupid he must think I am. I just stared at that second photo until my eyes burned. Then tapped into the public post and wrote one simple comment, have fun. Then I set the phone down and walked to my bedroom. If you ever want to know who you are when the mask drops, watch yourself in the first hour after your heart breaks. I didn't throw things. I didn't cry. Not yet. I opened my closet, pulled out the spare suitcases Ethan kept on the top shelf, and set them on the bed. Then I started packing every shirt, every pair of jeans, all his carefully curated capsule wardrobe pieces he liked to brag about, his shoes, his cologne, his gaming console, that limited edition poster he insisted on framing, the watch I'd given him for his birthday, the sneakers I'd helped him pick out when he didn't have the money and promised to pay back eventually. Full. Stack. Sip. Breathe. In between trips to the bedroom and the living room, I called my friend Steve. Steve's a locksmith. He also went through a spectacularly messy breakup 2 years ago. So when he picked up, I didn't bother softening it. Hey. It's Steve. Hypothetically speaking, if your live-in boyfriend lied about a guy's trip and went to Cancun with his ex instead, how soon could you change the locks? There was a beat of silence. Then, Madison. Oh. Hell no. Tonight or tomorrow? Tonight. If you can. I said. My voice surprised me. It sounded calm. Almost clinical. I'll pay extra. I'll be there in an hour. He said. Text me your building code. While I waited, I kept packing. I even included the plant Ethan insisted we needed for good vibes that he never watered. I moved everything carefully to the garage, neatly stacked boxes and his suitcases. Nothing broken. Nothing tossed. When Steve arrived, he took one look at my face, gave me a tight nod, and got to work. Front door. Back door. New keys in my hand. $350 on my card. Peace of mind I couldn't put a price on. Thanks, I said quietly. Been there, he replied. You're handling it better than I did. After he left, I emailed the building management, letting them know Ethan Hayes no longer lived with me and was not authorized to enter my unit without my express permission. They noted it in the system. Then I did something small and petty and incredibly satisfying. I changed the Wi-Fi password, logged into Netflix, HBO, Disney+, every shared account, and signed him out. Canceled the 4 emergencies credit card I'd given him, the one that had somehow covered weekly takeout and spontaneous Uber rides. Finally, I texted Lauren, Ethan's younger sister, one of the few people in his family I actually liked. Hey Lauren, just for your information, Ethan and I are done. He went to Cancun with Vanessa and some friends. I've packed his things safely in the garage. He can coordinate with you to pick them up when he's back. I won't be responding to him directly. She called almost immediately. What, Madison? What happened? He told Mom it was a guy's trip. Check his Instagram. I said, stories. The ones with Vanessa. A pause? Then a low whistle. Oh my God. He is so an idiot. I'm so sorry. Mats. He's been off lately. But I didn't think he was this stupid. It's not your fault. I said, just wanted you to have context when he starts spinning his version. Mom is going to lose it, she muttered. I'll talk to him when he gets back. Thanks. After we hung up, I finally sat down on the edge of my bed. According to Instagram, Ethan was having the time of his life. Beach photos, sunset dinners, Vanessa in a bikini pressed against him. His ego lit up in every frame. He hadn't noticed I'd commented. He hadn't noticed I hadn't viewed any stories after that first night. Too busy with his guy's trip. Tomorrow, he'd come home. Tomorrow, he'd slide his key into a lock that no longer belonged to him. I lay back, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing and my mind eerily clear. I couldn't wait to see what he did when he realized there was no way back in. I didn't have to wait long. The next evening, around 8 p.m, M. I was sitting on the couch with a cup of chamomile tea, half watching a documentary I didn't care about. Then I heard it, the rattle of a key in the front lock. A pause. More rattling. Then confusion. Then irritation. Then bang. 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 Madison, my key isn't working. Open up. I let him knock for a good minute before I got up. The tea was still warm when I set it down. I opened the door with the chain still on. Ethan stood there. Tan lines around his neck. Suitcase beside him. Wearing a faded souvenir t-shirt that said Cancun Crew 2025. His hair was messy. His sunglasses still hanging from his shirt. He looked surprised. Oh. Hey. I said, keeping my voice even. How was Cancun? He blinked. Thrown off. What's going on? My key doesn't work. Did you change the locks? I did. Why? His voice sharpened. Madison. This isn't funny. I'm exhausted. Let me in. I tightened the chain just a little. Your key doesn't work because you don't live here anymore. The expression on his face went through an entire storm. In 3 seconds, confusion. Disbelief. Anger. Then that familiar entitled smirk that always showed up when he thought he could talk his way out of anything. What are you talking about? He scoffed. Stop being dramatic and open the door. You went to Cancun, I said quietly. With Vanessa. The guy's trip was with your ex-girlfriend. We're done. His face froze for half a heartbeat. Then he laughed. You went through my Instagram, that psycho behavior. Madison. It's public. I said calmly. Your stories were public. The whole world saw you cuddling with your ex. It's not what it looks like. He blurted. She was just there with her friends. We ran into each other at the airport. Okay, and on the plane. And look, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Right, I said. Coincidence. All the way to a shared hotel balcony. You're unbelievable. He pressed his hand against the door, as if he could shove the chain loose. You can't just lock me out. My stuff is in there. This is illegal. Your stuff is in the garage. I said, safely packed. He gaped. What? Are you serious, Madison? You're insane. No. Ethan. I'm done. You can't just... Ethan. My voice was steady. Colder than I meant it to be. You went on vacation with your ex-girlfriend. That's called moving on. I just made it official. His mouth opened to fire back, but a new voice cut in. Ethan, what's going on? Vanessa. She appeared behind him in the hallway. Perfectly put together, even after a flight jean jacket. Crop top. Hair in effortless waves. She held a phone in one hand, her nails painted coral. When she saw me, she smiled a little. Smugly. The kind of smile that says, I won. I couldn't help it. I laughed softly. Oh, you brought her here. How bold. Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. We just came to get his things. Perfect. I said. They're in the garage. Everything's boxed and labeled. Codes 4827. Ethan's jaw tightened. You think you can just... Yes, I said, and closed the door in his face. The knocking started again. Louder. Madison, open this door right now, or I'm calling the cops. Isai picked up my tea and said through the door, Go ahead. 15 minutes later, there was a heavier knock. Tfo. Actually, Mom, this is the police. I opened the door. This time fully. 2 officers stood there. 1 male, 1 female. Ethan stood behind them, arms crossed like a child about to tattle. Good evening. Mom, said the older officer. Mr. Hayes here says he lives at this address, and that he's been locked out. I nodded calmly. He doesn't live here. This is my property. I held out the folder from my cabinet. Here's the deed. The female officer took it, skimmed the name, and nodded. Do you have a lease or any utilities in your name? Sir, Ethan hesitated. Well, no. But I've lived here. Mail, she asked. He blinked. I use my parents' address still. Then legally, said the male officer. You're considered a guest. If the homeowner asks you to leave, you have to leave. Ethan turned red. She can't just throw me out. She can, said the officer. Your belongings are where? Mom, in the garage. I can show you. We walked down. I opened the garage door. Boxes were stacked neatly against the wall. Labeled in black marker, Ethan clothes. Ethan books. Smirk. And electronics. His suitcase was there too. Zipped and ready. The officer nodded. Impressed. Everything looks in order. Ethan stared at the boxes like they were evidence of betrayal. You're actually doing this? Yes, I said quietly. And you'll thank me one day. He snorted. You're unbelievable. You think this makes you look strong, it just makes you cold. Then I guess I'm finally cool enough for you. The officers gave him 15 minutes to collect his things. Vanessa helped well. Supervised while he carried boxes. His pride looked heavier than the luggage. When they finished, I stood by the doorway. Garage code is deactivated after tonight. Anything left will be considered abandoned property. Ethan glared at me. You're going to regret this. I already did. I said softly. That's why it's over. Vanessa touched his arm. Come on, Ethan. Let's go. As they walked away, the female officer looked back at me and gave the smallest nod. Good for you, she murmured. When I closed the door, the silence was almost holy. Then my phone buzzed. 72 new messages. I scrolled through a few. You can't just throw me out like trash. I have rights. You owe me for all the furniture I bought. This is emotional abuse. You changed the Netflix password. Wow. Petty much. You're going to regret this when you calm down. I turned off notifications. By morning, he'd gone public. On Facebook, a dramatic post appeared. Some people show their true colors when you're at your lowest. I took a trip to clear my head. And my narcissistic ex locked me out and left me homeless. Be careful who you trust. Within an hour, the comments started rolling in. His aunt. Didn't you go to Cancun with Vanessa post deleted? His best friend, Megan Bro. You said it was a guy's trip. Post edited. My favorite was from Lauren. Maybe don't vacation with your ex while you're still in a relationship. Post. Hidden from timeline. By the end of the day, he'd blocked Lauren too. And that night, he tried calling me again. From Vanessa's number, Madison. We need to resolve this. Like adults. We did. I said, you're moved out. That's adult enough. You can't stop me from coming back. Actually, I said, that's exactly what new locks are for. I know my rights. Good. I said, you can explain them to your lawyer. He hung up. 10 minutes later, I got a text from Vanessa's number. She's losing it. Man, can you just talk to her? I smiled at the screen. You wanted him badly enough to go to Cancun with him. He's your problem now. Then, I blocked both their numbers. The following days were like watching a slow-motion car crash one you already survived but can't look away from. Every morning, I'd wake up to new notifications. All from numbers that weren't saved anymore. Different tones. Same cycle denial. Guilt tripping. Outrage. Pity. You can't just erase me like this. You're acting like I cheated, nothing even happened. You owe me for the stuff I bought for our place. I made you happy. You'll miss me. Then, the masterpiece. An itemized invoice. A full spreadsheet of expenses Ethan claimed he'd invested in our relationship. Couch. $400. He didn't pay a cent. I had the receipt. Groceries. $3. 000. He bought food maybe twice a month. Utilities. $1. 800. He'd never seen a bill in his life. Interior design. Consulting $500 because he once moved my coffee table for better flow. Emotional labor. $2. 000. I stared at that one for a full minute. Total set. Babe Bashu. At the bottom, he'd written, "Please transfer via Zelle within 10 business days." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. So I made my own list. Market rate rent for 14 months, $14. 400 utilities. He used $2. 400 streaming accounts, $54. Dinners, I paid for $4. 000. Trips $3. 500 car insurance. I covered when he forgot $1. Lambe. Total. 25. 554. I hit send. He stopped asking for money after that. Then came the family campaign. It started with a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to. Madison. Sweetheart. It's Ethan's mom. I closed my eyes. Hi. Mrs. Hayes. Ethan's devastated. She began, voice trembling with performative sympathy. He made a mistake. You've been together for years. Don't you think he deserves a chance to explain himself? He had 7 days in Cancun to come up with an explanation. I said evenly. She sighed dramatically. He says it was all a misunderstanding. Vanessa was just there. How do you misunderstand booking a trip with your ex? He's young. Madison. People do foolish things. He's 27. I said. Not 17. Pause. Then. Sharper. Well? Where is he supposed to live now? I blinked. He's literally at your house. Isn't he? That's temporary. She snapped. He had a life with you. You're being very unforgiving. I smiled into the phone. I'm being done. Have a nice day. Mrs. Hayes. Click. By midweek. Ethan's redemption tour went public. He started posting cryptic quotes on social media. Real love forgives mistakes. Don't let pride destroy something good. She'll realize what she lost. His comment section was split half sympathy. Half people reminding him that what he lost was entirely his fault. Then Lauren texted me. Lauren, you'll love this. Vanessa dumped him. Me already, Lauren. Apparently she thought Cancun was a fling. He thought it was forever. She told him she's not looking for anything serious. He showed up at her gym to confront her. Security had to walk him out. I stared at the screen. Torn between disbelief and poetic satisfaction, he'd humiliated himself without me lifting a finger. A day later, my phone buzzed again. Ethan, hello. Rambling message. Madison. Please listen. Vanessa manipulated me. I was confused. I never stopped loving you. I realize now what I threw away. I want to fix this. We can start fresh. Rebuild trust. And move forward. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I read it 3 times. Not because it was touching, but because it was so absurd. Then I replied with one line, I don't choose you. He texted again. You're throwing away 2.5 years. I answered, you threw it away when you boarded that plane. There was a pause. Then another buzz. I was going to propose. Madison. I stared at that one for a long time. Then typed back. Weird way of showing it. He didn't respond, but I knew Ethan too well to think it would end there. That was never his style. He always needed the last word. The grand gesture. The scene that made him feel like the misunderstood romantic lead. I should have known he'd show up in person, and I should have known he'd choose my workplace. It happened 3 days later. Just before lunch, I was walking out of a meeting when I saw a figure at reception, Ethan, standing there in a crisp shirt, holding a white bakery box, the same bakery I loved. The receptionist looked unsure. Ms. Clark. He says he's your ex? I finished. He's my ex. Ethan turned, forcing a smile. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. Not here, I said quietly. Madison. Please. He held up the box. Your favorite cookies. Can't we at least talk like adults? Ethan. I said. You can leave the cookies. He took a step closer. I made one mistake. One. You can't forgive one mistake. Going to Cancun with your ex. Lying about it. Posting it online. Calling me controlling. Showing up at my home with her. Calling the cops. And harassing me for a week. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern. He blinked. Caught off guard. But I choose you now. He whispered. I don't. I said simply, please, leave. I said. Louder, this time. Before I call security. Something snapped in his eyes. The charm drained. Replaced by the version of him I used to ignore, the one who couldn't stand being rejected. You'll regret this. Hey, he said. I was the best thing that ever happened to you. I stared at him. The best thing that ever happened to me was you showing me who you really are before I made a bigger mistake. He froze. Then, like a bad actor missing his cue, he threw the cookies into the trash and stormed out. My coworker, Noah, who had watched the whole thing from the hallway, raised an eyebrow. Was that Ethan? Yep. The Cancun guy. Yep. He nodded slowly. Damn. And he brought cookies. Apparently. I said. Symbolic. Maybe. Of what? Crumbs. I said. Noah burst out laughing. And the tension finally cracked, for the first time in weeks. I laughed too. By the time Ethan stormed out of my office, I knew deep down that was his final performance. He'd made his last appearance, delivered his last line, and left the stage, still believing he was the hero of a story that wasn't his anymore. That night, I went home to my silent condo. The air smelled faintly of lavender cleaner, and the only sound was the hum of the fridge. No shoes by the door that weren't mine. No gaming headset tangled on the counter. No voice in the background asking where the charger was. Peace had a sound. I realized it was this. My phone buzzed again the next morning, not Ethan this time. But Lauren. Lauren. He's officially lost it. Me that bad, Lauren worse. He's ranting about taking you to court for illegal eviction. But the lawyer he consulted told him he has no case. No lease. No utilities. No rights. She laughed him out of the office. I smiled at the message. Took a sip of coffee. Me justice served with caffeine. Lauren also, he tried to get back with Vanessa again. Me, you're kidding. Laura nope. She blocked him. He called her manipulative and emotionally unavailable. He's back at Mom's. Sleeping in his old room. She's furious. Told him he's got 30 days to get a job and his own place. For a long moment, I just sat there, letting that sink in. 30 days. It felt symbolic. The universe giving him one last countdown to grow up. Then Lauren sent one more text. Lauren, she said something else too. She told him maybe if you hadn't treated Madison like a safety net, you'd still have a home. I stared at that line for a long time. Because it wasn't angry. It was honest. A week passed. No more messages. No more phone calls. No more drama. Just stillness. Until I saw at the final post, a moody, black and white photo of Ethan staring out a window. Captioned, "Sometimes, the person who loved you most becomes the stranger who teaches you your biggest lesson." The comments were mostly people rolling their eyes. Lauren had even replied with a single emoji. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. Because somewhere between the silence and the peace, I stopped needing closure from him. That weekend, I did something small but significant. I changed the garage code. Then I went to a local bakery, the same one Ethan had brought those cookies from, and bought a fresh box. For myself, I took them home, made tea, and sat by the window. The sunlight spilled across the kitchen counter. The same place where months ago I'd stood scrambling eggs while he told me he was leaving for Cancun. And for the first time since that day, I felt gratitude instead of anger. Gratitude that I saw the truth before it cost me more years. Gratitude that I learned the difference between love and convenience. Gratitude that I'd finally chosen myself. People always say heartbreak changes you. They're right, but not in the way you expect. It doesn't harden you. It clarifies you. You start seeing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. As I bit into the first cookie, buttery and soft, I thought about all the times I'd ignored my gut because I wanted to believe in someone's potential instead of their pattern. Never again. I opened my laptop, logged into Netflix my account. Now, blissfully free of shared profiles, and smiled. A notification popped up. New device signed out. I laughed out loud. Too late. Ethan. I closed the laptop, leaned back, and exhaled, looking around my quiet condo. Everything was finally mine, again, the space. The peace. The air. The silence, and that, I realized, was the real ending. No revenge. No dramatic confrontation. Just peace, the kind you buy once, invest in, and never let anyone borrow again. As for Ethan, some lessons you don't teach with words. You teach them with a locked door. And the best investment I ever made wasn't the condo, or the mortgage, or even the emergency fund. It was the new locks. They cost $350. But the peace of mind they brought me absolutely priceless.